Greetings, friends. This is Difficult Scriptures Finally Explained installments. And now we'll take a look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 and verse 14. Verse 3 in Genesis chapter 1 says, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." And verse 14 says, "And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." Now some don't understand what lights are referred to and when the sun, moon and stars were created. So the original creation, including the sun, moon and stars, was so beautiful that the angels sang and shouted for joy. It says in Job chapter 38 verse 4 through 7. The earth was not created in vain, desolate and ruined, in Hebrew tohu, but it was created to be inhabited, as it says in Isaiah chapter 45 verse 18. Now the earth became desolate, ruined and chaotic, Hebrew tohu and bohu, when Satan tried to dethrone God, as described in Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, and then darkness was on the face of the deep from this battle. Now deep, the word deep is translated from the Hebrew word tehom, which means a surprising, or it means a surging mass of water. That is how it is defined in Strong's Concordance. Or it also means water making noise in commotions, hence wave, a great quantity of water. It is defined that in Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon to the Old Testament. Now the entire earth covered with water would generate a lot of water vapor in the atmosphere, and this would produce thick clouds, thereby blocking out the sun and causing darkness. Now God's first act in renewing the face of the earth, and that renewal is described in Psalm chapter 104 and verse 30. So his great first act in renewing the face of the earth in Genesis, which is described in Genesis chapter 1 verses 2 through 5, was to thin the clouds enough to let some of the light of the sun filter through the clouds. In Genesis chapter 1 and in verse 16, it tells us that God made the sun and moon. Now the word made is translated from the Hebrew word asach, and according to Gesenius, asach can mean make, had made, or will have made. So the correct translation must be determined from context. Now since God's original creation was beautiful, and the earth was created to be inhabited, as we see in Job chapter 38 verses 4 through 7, and in Isaiah chapter 45 verse 18, then it is evident that God had made the sun, moon and stars, and therefore thinning the clouds in Genesis chapter 1 verse 3 would allow light from the sun to filter through to cause night and day.